Hey everyone, today we're diving into the secret life of the stuff that builds our entire world. We're going to peel back the layers and uncover this hidden atomic dance that gives everything, from a simple paperclip to a massive skyscraper, its incredible strength. And believe me, it's a story that starts smaller than you can possibly imagine. I mean, really think about it for a second. You've got these colossal towers, hundreds of stories high, that can sway in the wind but just refuse to break. How on earth is that possible? What is actually holding it all together with that much power, but also just enough flex? Well, the secret isn't just about clever architecture or giant steel beams. The real story, the one that makes it all work, starts with the atoms themselves. To really get it, we need to zoom in. No, I mean way, way in. Okay, so first things first, we need to talk about the fundamental blueprint for pretty much all metals. See, at the atomic level, atoms aren't just a random jumble. They lock themselves together in a super precise, repeating, three-dimensional pattern. We call that a crystal structure. And that pattern has a basic building block. It's called a unit cell. You can think of it as the single, tiniest piece that holds the entire blueprint for the atomic arrangement. It's like the one Lego brick that, if you just repeat it over and over, builds the whole castle. If you get the unit cell, you get the whole structure. Now, how those atoms are arranged has a huge impact on how the material behaves. For iron, the main ingredient in steel, we're interested in two main structures. First, you've got face-centered cubic, or FCC. Just think of this as a really, really tightly packed arrangement. That dense packing makes it easier for layers of atoms to kind of slide past each other, which makes the material more ductile. It can bend and stretch without snapping. Then you've got the other one, body-centered cubic, or BCC. It's a bit less crowded, and because of that, it's harder for those atomic layers to slide. The result, a stronger but less flexible material. And here is where it gets really cool. Iron can actually switch between these two blueprints. This amazing property is called allotropy. When you heat iron up, it literally rearranges its own atoms, shifting from that strong BCC structure to the more ductile FCC one. This ability to shapeshift its fundamental pattern, well, that's the key to basically everything we do with steel. So this ability to change leads us to a really fascinating and honestly, a kind of counterintuitive idea. We always think that perfection is the goal, right? But in the world of materials, it turns out that imperfections are what give them their most useful and amazing properties. It's a feature, not a bug. You see, a perfectly arranged crystal with every single atom in its exact right place would be incredibly strong, sure, but it would also be incredibly brittle. It would shatter just like glass. It's the tiny flaws, those little disruptions in the perfect pattern, that give metals the ability to bend, to deform, and to absorb energy without completely falling apart. And these super useful flaws come in three main flavors. You've got point defects. Think of these as single-atom typos, like a missing atom or an extra one where it shouldn't be. Then there are line defects, where a whole row of atoms is out of whack. And finally, surface defects, which are basically the boundaries where different crystal regions, all oriented differently, smash up against each other. Let's look a little closer at those point defects for a second, specifically the ones caused by impurities. You can have a substitutional defect, where a foreign atom just takes the spot of a host atom. But then there's the interstitial defect. This is when a smaller atom, like say a carbon atom in iron, doesn't replace anything. It just squeezes into the tiny gaps between the iron atoms. And that right there, that is exactly how we start to make steel. And this is absolutely crucial, so listen up. Those line defects, which we also call dislocations, are the unsung heroes of ductility. When you bend a piece of metal, you aren't breaking all the atomic bonds at once. Instead, what you're really doing is forcing these dislocations to move through the crystal, kind of like moving a big rug by making a ripple in it and pushing the ripple across the floor. This is what lets the material change its shape without a catastrophic failure. Okay, so we've got our crystal structures. We know that we need defects. So how do engineers actually use this knowledge? Well, they use a map. It's kind of like a recipe book for materials. And this is it. This is the iron-carbon phase diagram, and it is the absolute heart of metallurgy. I know it looks complicated, but this single chart tells you exactly what kind of atomic structure, or phase, you're going to get based on just two things, the temperature and how much carbon you've added. It's the master guide for creating just about every type of steel you can imagine. So, inside this map, there are three main characters we need to know. First, there's austenite. That's our hot, ductile FCC phase. It's where the whole process starts. As it cools down, it can transform into ferrite, which is soft and ductile, and cementite, which is a compound of iron and carbon that is incredibly hard and very, very brittle. All right, let's watch one of these recipes in action. It's called the eutectoid reaction. We start up high with hot austenite, where all the carbon atoms are just dissolved nice and uniformly inside. Then, as we cool it slowly past this magic temperature of 725 degrees Celsius, something amazing happens. The atoms just can't hold that structure anymore. They have to rearrange themselves. And the result is this beautiful layered microstructure called pearlite. What you're seeing is an intricate mixture of alternating layers of that soft, ductile ferrite and that hard, brittle cementite. This composite structure is the real magic behind steel. It literally combines the best of both worlds, and it's what creates a material that is both strong and tough. So we've got the theory, we know the phases, we've seen the transformations. The final step is taking all this microscopic knowledge and actually applying it on a massive scale. And we do that through heat treatment. This is where we get to lock in the exact properties we want. And the absolute key to all of this is time. By controlling how fast or how slow we cool the steel down from that hot austenite state, we get to decide which microstructures are allowed to form. A slow cool gives the atoms plenty of time to rearrange into that nice pearlite. But a fast cool, that traps them in a totally different state. The trade-off here is crystal clear. A nice slow cool gives us pearlite with its great balanced blend of strength and ductility. But a rapid quench, literally plunging red-hot steel into water, traps the atoms in a stressed-out structure called martensite. The result is a material that's extremely hard, but also very brittle. This precise control is how engineers can make everything from a flexible car spring to a razor-sharp knife blade using the exact same ingredients. And that brings us right back to our skyscraper. Its strength isn't some happy accident. It is the direct result of centuries of understanding and precisely controlling the steel's atomic structure, intentionally creating just the right amount of defects and mastering these phase transformations through heat treatment to get that perfect balance of properties. You know, we have spent centuries mastering this one amazing material. It really makes you wonder, though, as we get better and better at moving matter around atom by atom, what incredible new materials are we going to design? What stronger, lighter, smarter stuff will we engineer to build the future? What comes next?